Football week 10, NFL week 9, mix in a little NBA, you got some NHL, and we've got ourselves another edition of Last Call here on WagerTalk TV. Appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us here. Loaded slate of games. We're going to dive right into it with three of the finest, if not the best looking mustaches you have ever seen in your life at WagerTalk. The Prez will make his debut here today on Last Call, but we also have Mr. Rob Veno ready to go with college football. And our first guest, we welcome in none other, my favorite, Bryan Power in the house. Look at him. He is here. He is ready. He is thumbs up. We're going to try to make this as quick and painless for all of you tuning in right now. So, BP, why don't we kick off with the game everybody is looking forward to watching? Jacksonville State here. This is a quality one, taking on South Carolina. So the question is, are you buying, Rich Rod? Are you buying Jacksonville State here that they have now arrived at FBS football, or does South Carolina put them in their place?
To start my weekend than with you, old buddy, right here on the show. I know you feel the same way, and what better way to celebrate being here than Jacksonville State at South Carolina. Now, you know, Joe, I think a lot of people that watch the shows know that, Joe, I'm a professional here. Don't throw me off. But I don't give out favorites very often on the show, and I don't give out double-digit favorites hardly at all. So in true Bryan Power fashion, I will give out a double-digit favorite that is 2-6 facing a 7-2 team here. No, I am not buying Jacksonville State in this spot in a huge step up in class. They have played the 13th easiest schedule by my tally. Wins against UTEP, East Tennessee State, Eastern Michigan, Sam Houston, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky, and FIU. Meanwhile, South Carolina has played one of the toughest schedules in the country, all 6 losses to teams that were ranked at one point this season. So I think this is a get-right game for Spencer Rattler and company at home. They average 41 points per game in Columbia, okay? South Carolina should have beaten Florida a few weeks ago. Shane Beamer breaks his foot afterwards. I wanted to break my foot after that result. So I'm going to lay it here with South Carolina, who has a shot at being bowl eligible if they win out every game at home. I think Jacksonville State maybe has their eye on Conference USA matters. They'll take their $1.8 million and lay down. Let's lay the points.
All right. Yeah. It sounds like a great game. All right. Looking forward to that one. Let's, by the way, if you are new to us here at WagerTalk TV, go ahead, do yourself a favor. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Obviously, we've got plenty of content across all the sports here that you need to know, whether it be college football, NFL, NHL, NBA. And don't forget, we got college hoops beginning on Monday. So become part of the WagerTalk TV family. Hit that subscribe button. And I promise this is almost over with Bryan Power. As we switch gears to another high-scoring affair, no doubt here, BP. I know you were up late trying to figure out how many points are going to be scored in this game. But talk to me about Army and Air Force. Air Force should win this game, correct? I mean, they should win.
They should, but there's not going to be a lot of points, and we're talking about a game with the total in the low 30s, and I'm getting 3 scores, okay? I'm going to take the underdog in this situation. We know about the history of the Commander-in-Chief games. What is it, 44, 10-1 to the under the last 55 or something like that? It's above 80%. There's not going to be a lot of points scored. Most of those games decided by single digits. In fact, each of the last 5 between these particular two schools have been decided by 7 points or less. Army's covered the last 4, oh, by the way. And let's just look back to a couple weeks ago, guys, when Air Force played Navy. That game was in Baltimore. And yes, Air Force did cover by half a point because Navy bizarrely chose to go for 2 at the end. I guess they wanted to lose by 9 instead of 11. That cost me a cover. That wasn't very fun. But Air Force only ran for 3-point yards per attempt in that game. So while most of the teams they face cannot stop the triple option, we know Army's well-versed. And let's not bury the lead with that Air Force-Navy game. Troy Calhoun, who I have a lot of respect for, just lied about the status of his quarterback, Larry. He's like, oh, out for a while. And then he's on the field at noon Eastern. That was fun. And Larry, who could throw, he had a 94-yard touchdown pass, which you almost never get out of Air Force. Air Force, tip your cap. I said they were the best team in the Mountain West before the year, but they played a very weak schedule to this point. Army, you know that they don't have much to play for, Joe, down the stretch, except this game and Navy. So you know you're getting Army's best effort. I think they can hold Air Force's offense in check. I think all we need is a touchdown from Army, and they cover the number here. I am willing to take that bet. They score a touchdown. Give me Army plus the points. I bet this at 18.5. This is a client.
It's amazing in this game, too, because every year we know the record of the under in this matchup. We know it. The books know it. They continue to hammer that and shade it to the under, and it still manages to hit. But boy, does that, I'm kind of with you. That's an awful lot of points for such a low total that's probably going under anyway. History tells us there. BP's got himself a 5% best bet tonight. College football. Is that tonight, Bryan?
Absolutely. Won our last 5% college football plays. This will be the first one in a month. You can grab that right there, wt.buzz/BP. But for just $4 extra, Joe, you can get my complete card. That is 9 plays. That's 8 plays for $4, I believe. I was not a math major at Ohio University, but I think that's 50 cents per play it works out to. So 9 plays for $39. Can't go wrong there. And, of course, take advantage of that end-of-year special at WagerTalk we've got going. If you want to lock in long-term, get the NFL, NBA, college hoops, and soccer as well.
Yeah, but that DeVry medical degree you got hanging up in the back there was worth the $4. Let's take a
that
look.
Was law school, Joe, and it was Vermont.
Law school. I'm sorry. Yes. Either way, just wonderful classes at DeVry. Let's head to the questions here, as Ghosted has got something to say. Let's say, talk to me into or out of Okie State today. Plus, I want to hear you talk about Joe's alma mater. Yes, absolutely. But you know what? Fantastic, Ghosted. Go ahead, Bryan. Let me hear who you like in this game here tonight. Go ahead. The floor's all yours.
Well, Oklahoma State's the sharp side. Okay, you look at the WagerTalk.com odds screen, it indicates that. That's where the money is. But I'll say this. With Oklahoma State, are we getting them at the peak of the market right now? They're facing an Oklahoma team off a loss. I had Kansas last week, by the way. Nice outright winner to start Saturday. I'm a little apprehensive that this is the top of the market on your pokes, Joe. If I were to play it, I'm not playing it, full disclosure. I would take the points with Oklahoma State. Oklahoma missing a key defender as well. They have a lot of missed tackles. Everyone talked about early on, Brent Venables' defense appeared to be much improved. How could it not be improved over 2022? But they've regressed the last 3 weeks, Joe. What have they given up? Like over 100 points to UCF, Kansas, and whoever they played before that. I mean, Oklahoma's given up points. It was Texas that they played before that, UCF. So, Oklahoma State, if they can keep running the ball, Gundy's made his decision at quarterback, and it's worked out. Kind of come out of nowhere. But, yeah, if I was playing this game, I would take the points.
All right, looking at the points there with Oklahoma State, I can't argue. The only thing I would add, though, is you keep your points. I'm on the money line with Oklahoma State, winning the finally ending bedlam after 120 years. Enjoy the SEC, OU. I'm sure you're going to do great there. Great things coming your way there. All right, BP, 5% best bet is up and ready to roll. All right, one more we got coming in. Key to Vegas. He wants to know, Arkansas coming off the bye, new OC. What are you buying here? There's a lot of love in the marketplace. This was 5.5. Now it looks like 3. So the market believes the new OC may be exactly what Mr. Jefferson needed here in order to be able to handle business on the road against Florida in the Swamp.
Yeah, it was interesting. The line move initially earlier in the week, I think went as high as 6, Joe, with Florida. And then it's come all the way back down. Yeah, they're really excited in Fayetteville about firing Dan Enos. We obviously don't root for anyone to lose their job, but it seems that they're pretty excited, the Razorback faithful, about that change. Rocket Sanders is going to play here. And, you talk about Arkansas, all the games they've lost in a row. Again, similar to what I said with South Carolina earlier, this is a team that has faced a brutal schedule. And how many close losses do they have, Joe? I mean, I think they lost close to Alabama, LSU, and Ole Miss, the top 3 teams in the division. I absolutely smell outright upset here for the Hogs off a bye. Florida, it's a bad spot after getting embarrassed by Georgia in the world's largest cocktail party last week. So I actually am out on Arkansas. That's a client play. I'll give that one out as well. Took them at 4.5.
Oh, yeah, well, at 12 o'clock noon, guys, coming up top of the hour, time to or get off the pot one way or the other. BP, appreciate that. You coming by, sharing it. Go grab his 5% play. Bless the luck there, BP, at your page at WagerTalk.com. You can get that 5% best bet he's got rolling here tonight. Unfortunately, we'll probably see you again next week. Always a pleasure. Let's bring in the one and only, the very first time.
Love you, Joe.
Last call. Oh, yeah. We have just a lineup for you. BP leading off, followed by the man, the myth, the legend. Let's bring him in, the Prez. Lawrence Prezman in the house, ready to roll on last call on this Saturday. So go ahead and hit that like button. You will get this no place else other than right here at Wager Talk TV. Prez, welcome in here, my man. Loaded card for you this week?
Dude, I can't even look at myself. I mean, like now I'm on the screen. I'm like, this is the ugliest. Joe, I've raised close to $1,000 for Movember. I don't think if you gave me $1,000, I wouldn't wear this ridiculous mustache. But Carmine got me to do this, and now it has to stay on until the end of November. It's yeah, it's pretty. My mother was over last night, and she was like, anyway, yeah, loaded card,
for
man.
You. Because we actually gain an extra hour, so you've got to spend one more hour with that growth on your lip. Why don't we head to the ice, though? We can start in the NHL with you here today. And I don't get this. Nashville taking on Edmonton. I don't know what to make of Edmonton. Everyone keeps saying, slow start, but really? They're not even good at home, which is where they find themselves right now, taking on Nashville here. 6.5 to total. What's going on with Edmonton here, Prez? What are we doing in this?
Well, Joe, I couldn't be happier about their slow start. All this means to me is we get some value on Edmonton. Had they have started off fast, we wouldn't be able to bet this game. It would be minus 280 or something like that. But this Edmonton team is going to be just fine. It's the fastest team in hockey. They're loaded with talent up and down the ice. Their number one problem, period, is their goaltending. Both Skinner and Campbell are a disaster. But this Edmonton team is providing us with a lot of betting opportunities right now that I'm going to take advantage of. My clients were on Edmonton against Dallas 2 nights ago. We lost that play. Edmonton outshot Dallas 49 to 27. 49 shots for Edmonton. 27 with Dallas. And I know a lot of people are like, well, who cares about shots? Nobody keeps count. Well, actually, they do keep count. It was 49-27. And a lot of those shots were real point-blank opportunities. Furthermore, it's almost impossible to get a shot on net when you're playing in your end of the ice. So it also tells us where the play was. This Edmonton team is going on a run, Joe. And it's not about just betting them today. I would look to be betting them on a regular basis moving forward. They got Seattle next. They got Vancouver next. San Jose, which we could have a whole conversation about San Jose. And, are they going to win a hockey game? And then they've got Seattle after that. I think this team is poised for a nice 4-0 run. I think it starts today, 3 p.m. Eastern game against Nashville. What I love here, Joe, and what I look for, and the people who read my analysis, who buy my plays, see this, is I'm interested in the matchups of speed versus grit or heaviness. Nashville's a heavy hockey team. Nashville is not a team that is going to outskate anybody. They remind me very much of the Dallas Stars. They're not nearly as good as the Dallas Stars, but they play the same style of game. They're heavy. They're a counter-punch team. They're going to be outshot on a regular basis, but they will make the most of their opportunities. Man, Dallas could play a team like Edmonton and do well because Dallas has some guys up front that will be able to take advantage of their opportunities. Nashville can't. This is a terrible matchup for Nashville. This is one of the slowest teams in hockey, playing without question the fastest team in hockey, with the fastest player maybe in history of the game in Connor McDavid. They're at home. They're coming off of a dismantling of Dallas, even though they lost the game. And I know that sounds so strange, but I want to play. I talk about this all the time. I want to play on teams after they win a game but played terribly, or lose a game but played incredibly. Edmonton finds themselves in that spot. I also don't like this Nashville team, period. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to struggle. They're off 2 losses in a row. They've put up 4 goals in their last 2 games. The only way we lose this game, Joe, is if it goes over because of Edmonton's goaltending. I think you're going to be good taking Edmonton over team total and Edmonton in regulation at -110. And because this is my first time on the show, that's my client play today, Joe. No reason to buy my NHL play. That's the play that I release to my clients.
All right, good. Well, Jeffrey in the chat room joining us. Always a pleasure to see you, Jeffrey. Jeffrey wants to add that in addition to your Edmonton play, apparently you have an audition later today for Super Troopers 3. That is fantastic, Jeffrey. Keep them coming. By the way, those of you joining us live in the chat room, I also heard the Village people called and want their cop back. But besides that, Edmonton, even with their terrible goaltending here, Prez, can we be honest here? They're only scoring, 2 goals a game, Nashville? They can't score. So this should be a no-brainer at 3 o'clock Eastern when the puck drops. Edmonton runs away with it.
Joe, it's like what I said yesterday about the New England Patriots against Washington. It doesn't matter how many women are in heat, naked and ready to go. If you're a eunuch, you ain't going to score.
Amen to that. All right. Again, guys, just a quick reminder, suggestion. If you're new to us here on WagerTalk TV, smash that subscribe button. Those of you joining us live in the chat room, you know the routine. Hit it. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Become part of the WagerTalk TV family as we head to the NFL with the Prez. Big game coming up for these 2 useless franchises as the Raiders are with a new look, right? New quarterback, new coach, new GM, new everything here, taking on the lowly New York Giants here. This is an interesting game you picked here, Prez. It feels like this is exactly the kind of game that the Raiders now will win by 30. But how are you approaching this one here against the Giants?
Joe, firstly, the only thing that needs to change in Raiders land is their idiotic ownership. Do you think, before we get into it, do you think Josh McDaniels will ever be a head coach again?
No, he'll be back in New England before the end of the year.
Well, maybe college. Maybe college.
Yeah, he'll be back before the end of the year. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. Rich Rod will probably get the job with the Raiders next. So yes, you're right.
Yeah, it's that guy.
He's terrible.
Anyway, look, bottom line here, Joe, and I haven't looked this morning. The total in this game when I wrote it up was 38. What is it now, Joe? I just haven't looked this morning.
37.5. Yep.
Okay. So bottom line, is that a joke? I mean, that's like my porn stash. If these teams played 2 games in a row, I don't think they would go over that number combined. Let's start with the Giants. This Giants team is historically brutal on offense. They have scored 10 points, 14, 9, 16, 3, and 12 in their last 6 games. 10, 14, 9, 16, 3, and 12. This number is 37.5. Do you know how far 16 is from 37.5? Anyway, let's say hypothetically the Giants have their single best offensive game in their last 6 games, and they get 17 points. That means the Raiders have to put up 21 for this game to go over. The Raiders have not scored 22 points all year. Like the entire year, they haven't put up 22 points. Not in one single game. They literally have scored more than 18 points once. So here we have a Giants team who, if they had their best offensive output in the last 6 games, 17 points. And if the Raiders put up 21, which is pretty close to their best out, it's 38, okay? It's close enough to the total, but neither of those teams are doing anywhere near that. And as far as the D, neither of these defenses are great, but who cares? It brings us back to the eunuch in a brothel. It doesn't matter. The Giants are 2-8 in their last 10 to the under. The Raiders are 3-7 in their last 10 to the under. There's really not a lot to say here, Joe. These are two horrific offenses. Neither of these teams can stretch the field. But this quarterback for the Raiders, what's he going to do? I mean, okay, maybe he comes in. He's, he Will Levis's us for the day. We're not going to win every bet. But we've got to assume that this guy is not the next, Brett Favre. How old am I? Anyway, even with Daniel Jones back, who gives a shit, Joe? I mean, where are these bloody points going to come from? Seriously, where are these points coming from?
Yeah. Nowhere, because there probably aren't going to be a whole lot of points in there. Prez, we do have a couple of questions for you here coming up in the chat room. We'll start with Vegas DJan, who wants to know about the Kraken catching almost a pick-em price against the lowly Calgary Flames. Is there something I should know before taking them? Doesn't feel right with the line. What are you thinking here? You trust the Kraken?
No. And it's not about the Kraken, Joe. The Calgary Flames have played terribly, okay? They've lost 6 games in a row. They played a really strong game against Dallas. They had 47 shots on goal against Dallas. And to me, I think this is a fade the Kraken day. I would prefer you guys take Calgary in this spot. This is not a terrible hockey team. I'm not going to suggest they're one of the best hockey teams in the league. They are 2-7 on the year, but this is a hockey team that's loaded with talent, great goaltending, good front back four. They've got Huberdeau and Kadri and scorers in the front. This team, again, like what we were talking about with Edmonton, they lost against Dallas, but they outplayed Dallas. They are on the verge of putting a little win run together. I like the Kraken as a team, but this is not a good spot. I don't want to be, Teddy and Steve Merrill say catch a falling knife. Hockey is different, man. Teams do not put 10-game win streaks down in the hockey season. Teams do not lose. There will be maybe 2 teams all year, 3 teams with San Jose that lose 7 games all year. They just don't happen in hockey. I'm going to recommend the Flames, but I am personally laying off this game. Like, why bet it? What's the reason?
I agree with you here. One more hockey, and then we'll get Rob Veno in here to close it out with a couple of bets in
I love
college
this
football
one.
coming up today. Go. What's the answer there with Drew Greggio?
So I'm going to link this game to the Leaf game because Boston and the Leafs just played each other. Look, this Boston team, 9-0-1-0. I can't stand the 4 numbers.
Oof.
It's just, they're on freaking fire, bro. This team is awesome. They just beat Detroit 4-1 at home 3 games ago. Detroit is coming off of a loss, and Detroit has subsided, if you will. This was one of the hottest teams out of the gate, period. Now they've lost 4 of their last 5. Conversely, the Leafs, way better a team than Buffalo. But here is what I want to say. Boston doesn't give a shit about the Detroit Red Wings. Nobody is sitting there in their dressing room saying, we need... Saturday is Detroit. Yes, forget everything else. Focus on the Wings. Toronto isn't sitting there going, Saturday is the Sabres. Yay. But they were both doing that 2 nights ago when they had circled a game against each other. This is not a good spot to bet Boston. I would take the Red Wings. This is not a good spot to bet the Leafs. I would look to take the Sabres. So there is a link between those two. Take a look at what both those teams do after they play against each other. These are the fiercest enemy combatants in hockey. This is not a good spot to bet Boston.
You are not buying Boston there, Prez, and I do not blame you. But you do happen to have a little something for everyone today at your page at WagerTalk.com. So tell us what's available now if folks visit you.
Joe, I'm freaking rolling, bro. Rolling. I mean, absolutely taking names. I'm on a 34-16 all sports run, which is really good. But my NBA is insane. Insane, dude. I'm on a 12-2 NBA run. I've started the season. That includes some of last year. But I'm 80% on the season, 8-2 in NBA on the season. I'm on an 11-4 NHL run. And I got one NHL play. You all know it. It's the Edmonton Oilers. I have one NBA play that will be up in the next half hour or so, and a couple of college football bets going later today. But put all that aside, I have a 5% NFL play tomorrow that I freaking love. I love the NFL card tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a huge day for me, Joe. So put Saturday aside, guys. Make sure to play my NFL bets tomorrow. And Joe, thanks for making me get out of bed early on Saturday, groom the stash, and show up for this show, man.
Right. And good luck on your audition today for Super Troopers 3. I believe we have a photo of,
it's the porno
of your casting packet. Yes, absolutely. Looks
it's
good.
Actually,
I think you're
it's
perfect.
super duper trooper.
Oh, it's I got your Super Trooper here. I got you. Understand. Well done there, Prez. Outstanding. Best of luck with your plays, man. Keep rolling here on
Okay,
Last
brother, can
Call.
I go now?
Yeah, just go. Just please. I thought
Just
you already
leave?
left. Can we bring in Rob Veno, please, and save this show? Thank you. That would be fantastic. Mr. Veno, always a pleasure. Thank God you showed up here. But that was a hell of a Super Troopers pick there. That was actually really, really nice. Veno, talk to me here. Loaded card today, tomorrow, and I want to dive into some college football that no doubt you got the card ready to go. And we talked about Air Force and Army coming up. Talk to me about another interesting one. Navy is taking on Temple. I believe Warner is back at QB for Temple. Kurt Warner's son, I believe, is finally back. He's been injured for a little while, which means they couldn't run or throw or do anything. What about this game against Navy? What do you think we're going to get here?
Yeah, thank God, Joe. Don't you dare fall asleep on me like you did Brian Power.
No, I would never. You know that. You know better.
putting me behind those two guys. Come on, man. This game, you're right. E.J. Warner's going to start here for Temple, right? He missed 2 games with a concussion, and then they had a bye. So he's had 3 weeks to get healthy prior to the practice week this week. And the offense, in the meantime, while he was gone, I mean, we all watched it against SMU a couple of Fridays ago, but in the 2 games that they played without him, they had to take this offense and do a 360-degree turnaround with Quincy Patterson at quarterback because he's a run-first quarterback. In one of those games, he led the team with 24 carries. So they went from throwing it around the lot 65 times, I think the last game Warner played in this season, to Patterson running it 24 times. Just didn't fit their identity, but they're back now. And I think that the matchups here in this particular game fit both offenses. Now, we've seen a push at the announcement of Warner playing earlier in the week. This game rose from 41.5 all the way to the 45.5 we're looking at now. But Warner in the pass offense should have a nice opportunity to put up a lot of points against this Navy pass defense in games not versus Wagner from FCS or Charlotte, who can't put a point on the board if there weren't 11 guys on the other side of the field, and option-heavy Air Force. All they do is run the ball. The teams that are left are passing teams. Navy's opponents they've allowed 71% completions, 269 passing yards per game. Now, we know Warner's going to throw it around. I think that sets up nicely for him. Temple also plays at the 14th fastest tempo in the nation. So for those who say Navy's just going to grind out the clock, they're going to run the ball on Temple, and in the game, Temple's going to have enough possessions here because they go quick. That kind of offsets Navy's slowness. For Navy, obviously the triple option. I don't know how Temple prepares for this. Honestly, with the thin roster that they have, they probably don't. Navy runs like crazy against them. Temple actually owns the 128th ranked defense against the run in the nation. It's only 133 FBS team, so pretty poor there. The perception of this game, Joe, is going to be they're both bottom feeders that can't do anything on the scoreboard. But again, I think the matchup dictates otherwise, so we'll take advantage of a low number. The Philadelphia weather was something to be concerned about, but hey, I'm in the area. Today we're hitting 62 degrees at game time for this one, so it's going to be nice here for a change. I think Warner does his job coming back here. I think Navy does their job on the ground against Temple. 45.5 in a college football game nowadays just seems too low, even if it does involve Navy. So I played over the number here. Obviously, I got a little earlier in the week, a better number, but still 47 and 48 get you paid here, and those are key numbers. I think it reaches that at least.
I love it. All right, guys, if you have questions for Rob on today's card, go ahead, drop them in the chat room as an over for Navy and Temple. And let's go to the game coming up top of the hour here. A lot of eyes are going to be on this Big 12 battle. Kansas State taking on Texas. Our very own Kelly Stewart in attendance in this game. And I entirely hope for the section she is sitting in that they win this game for their health benefit. I am hoping Kansas State handles business here. But, Rob, you're going to approach the total here. Interesting matchup, backup quarterback for Texas. How are you looking at this game here?
Yeah, there's a couple of teams, Joe, that I've kind of been on a crusade with the last 6 weeks or so as far as over the total is concerned. Those two are Kansas State and Central Florida. Central Florida, for anybody who wants to know about their matchup with Cincinnati, we discussed yesterday on WagerTalk's College Football Today show, so just go back and watch the replay of that. But with K-State, I've been on over just because, generally speaking, Joe, the perception of Kansas State is it's still like a Bill Snyder team, right? They're methodical. They play great defense. You know, you can bet their games under. Their last two games did go under. They won those games 82-3, 41-0 and 41-3, I think, were the two finals against TCU and Houston. In the TCU game, and maybe I'm justifying the results, right? But in the TCU game, you've got a redshirt freshman quarterback in his first Big 12 road start ever. Didn't turn out well because they were down 21-0 before the fans even got into their seats. So that didn't work out well for TCU, generally a good scoring team. And then, of course, last week, Houston almost fell into the same thing, right? After 4 possessions, Kansas State led 28-0. Houston couldn't get anything done because they're a one-trick pony. They can only throw the ball. They can't run the football. And, of course, at that point, K-State slows the whole game down, and it stays under 41-0. Texas is neither of those offenses, even with the rookie quarterback, or Malik Murphy, let's say first-time quarterback Malik Murphy in his second start here. Texas has productive players all over the field offensively. It's going to be a little different deal for Kansas State in Austin. You look at their defensive numbers, and I even heard this mentioned as early as this morning nationally, and they look great, right? Oh, they lead the Big 12 in scoring defense. But again, if you go back to the 4 games prior to TCU and Houston, you're going to find out that Kansas State allowed 28 points a game. They gave up 30 to Missouri, 31 to Central Florida, 29 to Oklahoma State, when Oklahoma State really wasn't rolling at that point in time, and 21 to Texas Tech. Again, that's 28 points per game in their 4 prior to TCU and Houston. I think that's more descriptive of what the Kansas State defense is against a capable offense, which Texas is. In my mind here, both of these teams have offensive advantages. I think they both have big playability. Listen, Will Howard has been a godsend for Kansas State since he stepped into the lineup last year. They've become a really productive offense this year, averaging 37.4 per game. I mean, I have to go back to like Darren Sproles or Michael Bishop or those teams that really pushed out points, late 90s, early 2000s. But that's where they're at right now. So I think the perception of them is not the reality. I'm going to continue to play them over. I think this number, Joe, that's the added advantage here, right? 49.5 with these two teams. It just seemed too low to me. So I played it over. I'm going to ride this Kansas State horse. It hurt me last week, but I'm willing to come back strong again here with Kansas State at Texas over 49.5. And it does go, as you mentioned, in 23 minutes. So people watching that maybe want to tail along, go ahead and hit that button, send.
Yep. Get her going here, guys. All right, we got some questions. Robbie, why don't we take a look here? Andrew is looking for a lean one way or the other, Washington and USC. Knowing Rob Veno, I'm going to take a stab here. There will not be an under played in this game. I'm just going to throw this. There will be no looking at the under in this game. Do we get what we got from USC and Cal last week? Nearly 100? It feels like we will here, Rob.
Yeah, why choose a side when the total's available to you, right, Joe? I mean,
exactly.
It's so difficult. Washington is a little bit healthier. There were reports that there was a virus in the locker room the last couple of weeks, and they had some injury problems. They seem to be over that now. And one added thing here, Joe, and I think it's important that USC did come from behind last week. It looked like they were dead against Cal, right? I think they scored 21 in the last 5 minutes or something to pull that out. Caleb Williams, who was the Heisman favorite to start the year, I think I heard yesterday he's now the 9th choice in Heisman voting, whereas Michael Penix Jr. is now number 1. And I just think that type of thing weighs on Caleb Williams. We talk about what's left for him to play for here. USC doesn't have much to play for, but they did win last week, which keeps them alive for the Pac-12 championship game. And also this battle to outdo Michael Penix. I think he'll put up his share. Yep. I don't think either of us have any doubt that Washington, against this sieve of a defense put out on the field by USC, Washington's going to get theirs as well. And they both love to throw the football and get big plays. Neither team has shown the ability to stop big plays. So I would be there, Joe. It used to be 76.5. Now I think it's 77.5. So you're looking for a 41-38 game to cash your ticket. And honestly, that's not out of the realm of possibility, 41-38.
Yeah. Well, the other question, too, here is that it feels like it's going to be one of these games. I do feel it's a toss-up game, but I feel whoever has the ball last is going to win in all likelihood is what it's going to be. And why not go with the home team getting points here? It doesn't make any sense for a game that's going to fly over. And we're saying going to fly over the total. Give me the home team here who might be catching points with USC in this one. Tell me what quick, you got, Joe, coming up. Go shoot.
Let me just give you this real quick. Last night, I was on another show, and I was given a number that Lincoln Riley, and of course he's had great teams, right, at Oklahoma and USC. Lincoln Riley, 40-3 straight up at home. Is that a correct number? I mean, that's correct. That win alone would let you take points at home with Lincoln Riley and USC today.
I agree. And, I mean, let's be realistic. They're both of these defenses leave a little something to be desired. I've got LSU, Washington, and USC, the top 3 offenses in the country. There's going to be points, period. There's going to be points in this game here. So maybe even team totals. I didn't see what they were, but maybe not a bad way to look in that one as well. Rob, tell them what you got available right now. We got a little something for everyone. College football today, NBA. What are you looking at here on the card?
Yeah, last week I wasn't particularly fond of the card, Joe. This week I was. The card runs 7 plays deep today, including 3 best bets in that. So as Brian Power mentioned earlier, why pay for one when you can get all of them for $39? Get the daily package. So once again, college football has been great. Since January 1 of this year, all football have the number 1 profit record at WagerTalk. So good reason to get involved. Also, real quick here, Joe, let's slide this under the table here. CFL playoffs tonight. I'm a U.S. resident and number 1 at WagerTalk in Canadian football profits. So again, I have a play in the Canadian football playoffs here tonight, along with NBA. So it's a big card. Go ahead and check it out. WagerTalk.com, my homepage right there. All the plays available for today.
Yeah. It's awesome, Veno. I do want to touch. They're bringing it up in the chat room, and a quick reminder: those of you in the chat room, smash that like button. You know the routine. Joining us live. If you're watching the replay on this and you are new here, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, become part of the WagerTalk TV family. This broke just about when Prez was combing his mustache, but it appears we've got some issues with Wisconsin. I believe Bryan Allen is out, so the running back's out. We know they don't have Mordecai. It looks like their starting safety is out. Their starting wide receiver is out. There is a whole lot of issues happening with Wisconsin injury-wise on the road. This was 9.5. I saw this crater to 7.5, and it looks like 8s are starting to settle here. I mean, Indiana played pretty tough against Penn State at home last week. They were getting 1 million points. They got the cover. Do we trust Wisconsin with all of those key injuries here to win going away with a total of 45?
Yeah, that would be difficult, Joe. I mean, I don't know that even though I love Tanner Mordecai, I don't know that there's been a difference in the offense without him just because they haven't gotten used to Phil Longo's system yet. You talk about a polar opposite change. Wisconsin, that we know at our ages, Joe, is a different offense now, and they just haven't caught on to it yet. But then you start subtracting players and key players. And Indiana, in my estimation, Tom Allen probably on the verge of being fired at the end of the season, but he's a player's coach, and they played like it last week against Penn State. I know it was a little bit of a letdown situation for Penn State off the Ohio State game, but Indiana, for their coach, at the end of the season, I expect them to play with a lot of emotion. That could carry you to +8 and a ticket cash here with that side because Wisconsin hasn't shown any ability really to separate from teams so far this year. And guess who has Wisconsin in our Ralph Michaels college football team win contest? Of course I do. Of course I do.
Yes, you do. Unbelievable. Rob, Veno, outstanding stuff as always, man. Best of luck with the plays. Of course, we'll see you all week long here on WagerTalk TV. Visit not only Rob Veno, but the Prez, as well as BP, Bryan Power at 5% best bet going off today at his page at WagerTalk.com. Go grab it, and that'll wrap it up here on this Saturday edition of Last Call. We certainly appreciate your time. Go ahead, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, make plans to come back and join us again. Another full week of programming here on WagerTalk TV begins on Monday. And if once again, if you hit that video that's on the screen right now, you'll have access to all the NFL matchups coming up, all the late night college football game matchups, and best bets. So it's just a click away. Best of luck with all your plays this weekend, guys. We'll see you again on Monday. Good luck.